And we are going to be talking about what I would say to my younger self today. There's not much in life that I would change. Nothing, quite frankly. I wouldn't actually change anything in my life because it's all happened for a reason. But there's something I would say to myself if I had it to do again. There was something I would say to myself if I could. So that said, you guys, first things first. If you are watching on the YouTubes, do make sure that you click on the subscribe button and also the bell so you get notified whenever new videos come on. Also, if you are watching this somewhere else, do make sure that you search my first and last name on YouTube afterward. Click on the subscribe button and also the bell so you get notified whenever new videos come on. The reason that I say that, you guys, is because if you're relying on Facebook, don't. It's terrible. I'm just saying. Okay, so let's get this out of here. Also, as I'm talking, feel free to go ahead and ask your questions. All right, guys. So let's kind of just sit back and have some coffee here. I can't really do that. I'll unfocus myself. So what advice would I give to myself and to my younger version of myself? As I'm saying this, you guys, I want for you guys to share what you would share with your younger self as well. If you had something that you could tell your younger self, what would it be? I'm very, very interested to see what that would be. For me, you guys, the biggest thing, and I had to have a long think about this. I had to just sit here and think, what is the one thing? Because first of all, I look back in my life with gratitude, even though it was tumultuous, even though I essentially embodied the story of the prodigal son, although I would have been the prodigal daughter, right? But I mean, I grew up in a, independent fundamental Baptist church. A lot of words, a lot of stuff there. So in that, I had a good upbringing. I can't complain. And I can't say like, this is the reason I was messed up and da-da-da-da-da. First of all, I know that does nothing for us. Blaming other people, all it does is shift the responsibility onto somebody else where it doesn't actually lie anyway, right? Responsibility is always ours. We make our decisions every moment of the day. If we are upset or if we are taking a path in life that maybe we wish we hadn't, that's completely and 100% up to us, right? We have a choice. Every minute of the day we have a choice. And if we're choosing to blame it on somebody else, you're releasing your power to somebody else, but you're releasing your power to somebody else that doesn't even know you're releasing it to them, first of all. And it doesn't lie there anyway. Like it's not supposed to be there anyway, right? So anyway, as I grew up, I basically had a pretty charmed life. We weren't wealthy by any means. We lived in a little old country house. And it was just, we were middle of the road. And that was fine. And then I whenever I graduated high school, a little after I graduated high school is when I started going out and doing my own thing, which was essentially, I was on this road and I did this. I did this almost the most you could do this. Okay, if you guys are understanding what I'm saying, like it's pretty much like I started this entire video by saying I look back in gratitude even though my life was a bit tumultuous. Those were my choices though, right? I chose alcoholism. I didn't say, hey, I want to be an alcoholic, but I didn't say I didn't, right? I didn't make choices that weren't going to lead me there or that were going to keep me away from that. Definitely didn't make those choices, right? And you guys, at the end of the day, all of that tumult, basically, it led me, here's how I described it to a friend of mine last night, and then I'm going to go into what I would actually say to my younger self. Not last night, last week. friend of mine and I were sitting here across the table from each other, and I said, basically, this is what happened, is I spent 20 years of my life, I turned 40 last month, I spent 20 years of my life walking into the deepest, darkest place possible. I started veering off, and I and then I just kept walking, and finally I just ended up in the deepest, darkest place imaginable. The place where you lose self-worth, the place where you can't see up from down. You don't know, you're confused about where you've shown up in the world, right? Where you can't see your way out of it, okay? And for those of you that know the story of the lost sheep, I can't remember the name of the song. What is the name of the song? Anyway, somebody will remember it. You'll know what I'm talking about when I say lost sheep. You'll know the song I'm talking about. Somebody will say it, and I'll be like, that's it. Corey something. Asbury, I think. Anyway, so I can't believe I'm doing this on camera right now. I'm going to talk to myself. My husband's probably like, oh my gosh, there she goes. So anyway, I go into the deepest, darkest version of life, okay? And what happened to me at that place is I got into the darkness so far that I was then called back, okay? I remember the time that I was called back. I remember it. I remember I was driving back and forth down to Illinois. I lived about 4 hours away at that point from my hometown. I was driving back and forth quite a bit because there was family sickness and family death and stuff like that. And I just kept finding myself going back and forth. And on those drives, because they were by myself, I would listen to some music. Somehow, I started desiring to listen to old Christian music that I used to listen to in my teens and stuff like that. And so I just started listening to them, I think mostly for nostalgia. But whenever I started listening, it started coming back to me. And it was like, I was being called back. It was the lost sheep where the shepherd goes out and finds the lost sheep and brings them back. But here's the thing, you guys. Here's the beauty of divinely led footsteps. I was taken care of and I was protected all the way into that darkness. Okay, you guys? So even though I did this, I was 100% protected the entire way. Okay? Not gonna cry. And as I was protected all the way in here, reckless love. Thank you, Marcy. Yes. As I was protected all the way in here, I have the biggest goosebumps right now. God allowed me to continue my path all the way right here. And then whenever he brought me back, you guys, the darkest place turned into, I lit up. Inside this dark place that I had walked into, I lit up right there. And it's beautiful to watch the will of God unfold. It's beautiful to watch seemingly problematic things, seemingly lost souls, seemingly lives that have gone astray, gone sideways, where another person would have looked at me and been like, man, what is she doing, right? Like, what is she doing? And I didn't know what I was doing. But you guys, I ended up there. I got called back. And because of that, I was able to send ripples out into the world I was living in at that point. When I lit up right there, you guys, then everyone could see it. That is transformation. That is being called back. Okay, now let me tell you what I would tell my younger self, okay? Now that I've told my prodigal son story, which I didn't know I was going to get into this morning, but there it is. I don't think enough people understand that I embody that story. I think that people think I'm perfect, or people assume that I just have it all together and have always had it all together. No, guys, no, no, not even a little bit. But by the grace of God, am still here. Okay. So, what was I going to say? My thing that I would tell my younger self is to surrender. Okay. That God will take care of me, and to just surrender. What I was doing was self-medicating, trying to use my head and find my own way. In my, I'm going to say old age, I'm only 40, but as I've grown, I know that the biggest way that my life has ever changed is to surrender. And when I think I've surrendered everything, then I surrender more. Okay? That sounds ambiguous, and I understand that. I hope you hear me when I say this, though. When we try to control things in our world, in our lives, when we try to control things instead of being led, when we try to control things, you guys, first of all, we take the glory away from our Creator, which in my opinion isn't fair. We also aren't able, we can't see the big picture. We don't know what the big picture is, right? So what I do anyway is divinely led footsteps. Like I don't ever pretend to know what a year down the road looks like. And that's from a business strategist who everyone expects for me to have trends and to know where a business is going. Now listen, I can tell you how to rock your business, but I can't tell you what the future holds a year down the road. If I were to act like I could tell you what the future holds a year down the road, that's you shouldn't believe me or anybody else. Hey, let me just tell you that. Don't believe anybody that tells you what's going to happen a year down the road. Nobody knows. Do you think anybody knew a year ago that today would look like today? Right? Let's instead of trying to plan out and figure out and know all the things that are coming, let's instead spend that energy in reverence. Man, I don't know why it's hitting me so hard today. It's because I feel like people need to hear it. Let's spend that energy in surrender. Let's spend that energy in communication with our Creator. When did we stop communicating with our Creator in the first place? There's a lot of people out there trying to grind and hustle and do all these things and make these things happen for themselves, and that's cool. Whatever, right? I don't subscribe to it, but whatever. But what I feel like is missing in that entire thing is communication with our Creator, because I'm pretty sure that our Creator doesn't want us to hustle and grind our lives away. And we would know that if we were in communication, right? We would know that if we were constantly in the Word, right? We would know that if we were allowing ourselves to be spoken to, okay? My belief, you guys, is that God speaks to us in the best way that we can understand. And to some people, it's going to look one way, and to other people, it's going to look a different way. That's my belief. That's my belief. But what I do know is that we house the Holy Spirit, right? And if you're not a Christian and you're watching this and you're like, oh gosh, here she goes, just go ahead and click off. You're okay. It's fine. It's totally fine, but I'm not going to stop. All right. So when we house the Holy Spirit, that is, we have God within us, right? We feel the taps, we feel the nudges, we feel the do this, right? When you feel those like do this things and you're in full surrender, you will do those things and you will allow yourself to be led, and then you can be led into the most miraculous places ever. You can be led into places that you could never have dreamed of. Led into positions of service in your community that you could never have dreamed of. Things that you get to perform such service in your community every day, day in and day out, that whenever you go to bed at night, you guys, you are in tears because you love how you get to show up and serve. That's real, okay? It happens in surrender. It doesn't happen when you're doing this with your own head. When your head is leading everything, you can't feel a tap. A tap feels so small that this overpowers it. Please hear me when I say that. Living in surrender is waiting to be led, okay? It's preparing yourself, yes. It's preparing your mind. It's being in the Word. It's being in communication. It's all of those things, right? Prayer. It's all of those things, but it's being prepared to be led. Okay, you guys? And then whenever you're prepared to be led, because you may be watching this right now and you may be thinking, well, I could prepare myself to be led and maybe I've done it before, but it didn't work. Okay, first of all, it didn't work is a really strange thing to say there. But what that makes me think is that there wasn't a true surrender, or that the surrender wasn't long enough. That it's just, you really have to just, you guys, the first time that I ever surrendered, let me look at my time. The first time that I ever surrendered, I dropped to my knees. I dropped to my knees and I cried. And I said, take it all. Take everything that I'm trying to do, and you let, not my will, but thine be done, right? Take everything that I thought I wanted and make your will my will, right? Make what you need to be done my mission and my goal. Excuse me. That is what I'm talking about, you guys. That is surrender. And whenever that happens, you literally become the hands and the feet. And whenever I'm talking about home-based revolution, you guys, I'm not just talking about let's make a bunch of money. I'm talking about let's show up in service. Let's show up in surrender. Let's show up for our people. And then you automatically get blessed just because of that. And I show you how to do it, and that is my mission. That is why I am here. I am very clear on my purpose. I am very clear on my mission. That is 100% why I am here at this point right now. Okay? Super clear on that. Didn't mean to do all of that this morning. Where are we? 17:30. Okay. Let me do this real quick, and then I'm going to read through some comments here. You guys, if you want to get in home-based revolution, I suggest it strongly. If you're scared, I suggest it more. I'm serious, you guys. This is not a sales tactic. This is nothing. This is half price of what it is. If I really wanted to sell it, I wouldn't be selling it at half price. I would have raised it to its normal price of 2 times this right now, if it were really about the dollars for me. It's about transformation. It's about your transformation for me, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to message my Facebook business page, Livin the Dream with Martha. Message it the words case study, so I know what you're talking about, and so I know you can follow directions. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And we'll have a quick chat. If it's for you, I'm going to go ahead and invite you in. If not, then we'll have a quick talk about that. It's only about 10 people that haven't been ready for it yet, and that's not ever. That's just yet, right? But this is going to change your entire world. If you are wanting to show up in your world in service, if you're wanting, you guys, I believe there's a little truth to being a superhero. I think there's a little truth to the Batman, to the Wonder Woman, to all of those ideas. I believe that we're all superheroes in our own right in the way that we show up in our communities, okay? If you want to unlock that superhero side of you and be able to change your world for the positive, if you're tired of what you're seeing out there, if you're tired of what you're seeing on the news, if you're tired of the way that people are treating each other, you guys, it begins with us. We have no right to complain about anything unless we are part of the solution. Period. I love you so much. That's truth. Okay? If you're ready to do that, home-based revolution. Where are we at? Oh, my word. My time is up. Why? Oh, my gosh. Jennifer, it's lots of personal development and honing in on who you are. Yes, absolutely. Oh, man, I have to go. I can't believe I have to go so quick. Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.